Hi guys, welcome back to MedEd with Cheers, where we make medical lab science simple and easy to understand. So, in today's lesson, we are going to be discussing about the bacterial growth curve, which is a very important topic in microbiology. So, let's get started. So, the bacterial growth curve is a graph that shows the growth of bacteria when they are inoculated into a cultural media or into a cultural system over time, right? Where there is no removal of waste product or there is no addition of nutrients. So on the bacterial growth curve, we have the x-axis, we have the x, and then we also have the y-axis. The x-axis it represents the y-axis represents the growth of bacteria. So they represent the growth of bacteria. Sorry. So on the bacterial growth curve, we have the x-axis, which represents time, and we also have the y-axis, which represents the growth of bacteria. So let's move on. And also on the bacterial growth curve, before we can understand the bacterial growth curve, we have to understand that there are four phases, right? So let's talk about the four phases of the bacterial growth curve. We are going to come back to this axis, right? So let's talk about the phases of the bacterial growth curve. There are four phases of the bacterial growth curve. We have four phases, right? The first one is the lag phase. The second phase is called the log phase. Then we have the third phase that we call the stationary phase. And then we have the last phase, which is called the death or decline. We have the decline phase. So these are the phases of the bacterial growth curve. Remember that BGC it represents bacterial growth curve, okay? Don't get confused. So let's talk about these phases one after another. Firstly, we have the lag phase. We have the lag phase, we have the log phase, we have the stationary phase, and the depth or decline phase. These are the phases of the bacterial growth curve. So let's talk about the first one, the lag phase. I'll be moving these ones, right? So let's talk about the lag phase. The lag phase is firstly the first phase. So it's the first phase of the curve. The lag phase is the first phase of the curve. The bacterial growth curve looks like this. We have this, then we have this, right? So we have the x-axis, we have the y-axis representing time, this one representing the growth of the bacteria, right? So this is how it looks like. So here, from the beginning, we have here the lag phase. So let me explain little by little before I draw the curve because I want you to understand. So the lag phase, which is the first phase. In this phase, the bacteria gets introduced into the cultural system, and then the bacteria start to adapt to that cultural system, and then also there is no growth observed in this phase. In the lag phase, there is no growth. Remember that. But the bacteria is metabolically active. In this phase, the bacteria is what? Metabolically. It is metabolically active. But there is no growth here. No growth. There is no growth. But the bacteria is metabolically active in this phase. So it is known as the lag phase. The bacteria adapts to the nutrient here. There is no cell division taking place in this phase. It just get adapted to the system. Like for example, right, if you're a student, you just enter into the class before you can start learning. You first have to settle down. You take up your notebooks just like that, right? It's referred to as the lag phase. So this is the lag phase on the curve. The beginning of the curve is called the lag phase. Moving on, let's go to the next phase. On the next phase, which is the second phase, we have the log. Here we call it the log phase. The log phase is also called the exponential phase. It's the second phase. It's also known as the exponential phase, right? In this phase, what happens is that the bacteria starts to grow. Growth starts in the log or the exponential phase. So growth starts here. Growth. The bacteria is metabolically active. It is metabolically active, and growth starts to take place here. So now the bacteria start to divide in this phase also. Remember this, right? The bacteria here starts to divide. It starts to divide exponentially. That's why it's called the exponential phase. So if the number of bacteria is 2, it now goes to 4. From 4, it goes to 8. From 8, 16. Just like that, right? Exponentially, the bacteria starts to divide. Starts to, cell division. Cell division starts to go on here. So on the curve, we come like this. Then it's rising, right? Wait, let me reconstruct this graph because you have to see. Or after the lesson, I will just properly reconstruct the graph, right? Because the board is small, so we have to understand, right? So here is the log phase. When it starts to rise here, we call this place the log phase because the bacteria now start to grow. Maximum growth is seen here. Maximum growth, remember, maximum growth is seen here. Maximum growth of the bacteria is seen on the log phase. So this is what the log phase is basically about, right? Characterizing of growth, metabolic activity. It starts to divide, and then the bacteria start to multiply from 2 to 4 to 8, 16, just like that. So it's called the exponential or the log phase. The third phase, the third phase here is known as the stationary phase. We are simply go. We have the stationary phase. Okay. So the stationary phase is the third phase. In this phase, the bacteria, the nutrients inside of the bacteria, everything starts to decline, right? So here, the growth rate is equal to the death rate in this phase. The growth rate here is equal to the death rate in the stationary phase. Here, the bacteria, the growth starts to decline. So, because of what? Declining in nutrients, right? The bacteria has still on inside of the media, so it's now declining. So the growth rate here is equal to the death rate. This is the key point that you need to remember in the stationary phase. In the stationary phase, the growth rate is equal to the death rate. So the stationary phase is around this side of the curve here. Then the curve, however, coming down here, we call it the death phase or decline. Oh, yeah. So let's talk about the last phase, which is the death or the decline phase. Let's talk about this one, the death or decline phase. In this phase, the death rate, this is what you need to remember. The death rate is greater than the growth rate. So the death rate here is greater. The death rate is greater than the growth rate because now the nutrient have get exhausted, the bacteria have exhausted all of the nutrients, the bacteria have released some toxin inside of the media, right? So the bacterial cell starts to die in this phase. So we refer to that phase as the death or the decline phase. So the death rate now here gets greater than the growth rate. And then some bacteria also produce some exotoxin like antibiotics in this phase. So here you see the graph. On the graph, you will see something like they'll firstly go, it's like this, and then it rise, and then it comes, and then it fall here. So here is the death or the decline phase, showing that the bacteria now, the bacterial cell are dying now. So this is basically what the bacterial growth curve is all about. So let's do a recap. Let me draw the curve properly so you can be able to get a clear understanding of it. how it is. So this is how the bacterial growth curves look like this. You see, this one is the y-axis, which represents the growth of the bacteria, and this one is the x-axis, which represents the days, right? So you might say day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, 5. Yeah. So this is how it basically look like. This is the lag phase, which is the first phase. We have the log when the bacteria starts to grow and cell division occur. Here, maximum division of cell is observed. And then the stationary phase where the bacterial growth curve, on the bacterial growth curve, the death phase is equal to the growth. The number of um, the number of cell growth is equal to the number of dead cell, or the number of growth cell is equal to the number of dead cell. Then we have the death phase. Here, the number of dead cell is greater than the number of live cell or growth cells, right? Anyhow, anyway, you want to talk here, right? As long as you get the point. I know you get the point, okay? So this is it. We have 4 phases. We have the lag, log, stationary, and death. From the beginning, growth starts here, growth starts to decline, and growth actually decline here. So this is it. Let's do a quick recap about today's lesson. We're talking about the bacterial growth curve. The bacterial growth curve is a curve that shows the growth of the bacteria when the bacteria gets introduced into a cultural system. It is very important in microbiology and in medicine. It helps us to understand how the physiology of the bacteria works and the bacterial growth time, everything. It helps us to understand all of those things, right? So we have 4 phases. We have the lag, we have the log, the stationary, and the death phase. So if you enjoyed today's lesson, make sure to share with your classmates, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification button so that whenever I drop another video, you are going to be able to see it. See you in the next class. And to you to have a good day. Bye.